Bring in Michelle Malkin, of course, host of the Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV. Michelle, always good to see you.
Great to see you too, Abby. I want to just give you my congratulations as well. It's great to see your face back on the channel, but I will tell you that there is no more rewarding, satisfying, and challenging job that you will ever have than as motherhood. And I will tell you, as a mom of a 17-year-old now who's going to be graduating from high school, it is an incredible journey. So congrats.
It means the world coming for you. And I will say, it makes you more passionate about issues that are going on in this country. You're thinking about your own kids now, so I understand that, and I now get why you're so passionate about things you believe in. And I want you to talk about one of those sanctuary cities. The movement seems to be spreading. Huntington Beach in California might follow Los Alamitos suit in challenging California's sanctuary city law. Where do you see this going? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that among many responsible law enforcement officials, police chiefs, and mayors of cities and counties in California that do not agree with the hijacking of that state by open border zealots, that they have a responsibility, and they realize it. They all took oaths of office to uphold the Constitution and the laws of this country. And so I think, in essence, the anti-sanctuary movement that we're now seeing, that was spurred on by the lawsuit by the DOJ and the position of our president very strongly opposing the basically the abdication of responsibility by California officials, I think that this movement constitutes a real effort by some of these responsible leaders to make California sane again. Now, whether it's too late, I think, is the question. But remember that we're talking about three pieces of legislation that have undermined the safety of Californians and by extension the rest of us. The first one dealing with undermining worksite enforcement by private employers, which is outrageous. The second one dealing with detention and the inability to share information among local and state officials with federal ICE agents, which, as we know, this channel has reported time and time again about the bloody consequences of sanctuary policies. And the third one having to do with the actual release dates of so-called removable aliens and being able to give that information to the feds so that they can pick people up before they're released. And, of course, I have reported many times over the years about these catch and release policies that have had deadly effects.
Well said, Michelle. Well, while we're on the topic of California and insanity, we've got to get your take on this topic. Parents are outraged there after Planned Parenthood got invited to a middle school mental health fair, presumably to provide information. Talk to us about the mindset of a school that would say Planned Parenthood and what they provide is welcome at a middle school.
So, yes, this is Clifton Middle School in Monrovia, California. And apparently the superintendent has reported to parents that they didn't know. The school district didn't know that Planned Parenthood was going to show up. And I think that the bottom line here, of course, is that the lack of transparency and disclosure is an outrage. And the idea of Planned Parenthood showing up at a science fair when they lie all the time about what they actually do within the walls of their clinics. Will there also be equal time for crisis pregnancy centers to share information about, for example, the science of ultrasound and what actually is happening in the development of unborn life? You've got a death lobby that is funded by federal tax dollars. You want to blame someone? How about this omnibus bill that gives $500 million to subsidize Planned Parenthood's activities and Title X grants as well? I think that a lot of the ire should be directed at Congress as much as the local school district in this case.
Yeah, Michelle, on that point, are you disappointed the president signed the omnibus when there's the funding you talk about, federal funding for Planned Parenthood, as well as, by the way, the bill does not cut off funding for sanctuary cities as promised?
That's exactly right. I'm beyond disappointed. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with the so-called GOP leadership. This falls squarely on the shoulders of Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. It is business as usual. People need to open up their eyes about how these appropriations bills and every piece of legislation that passes ram down our throats without any consideration of transparency and true deliberation by so-called deliberative bodies.
Yeah. Well, your anger speaks for a lot of American people waking up this morning. Michelle?
Sounds like we should send you to Capitol Hill. You might want to, I wouldn't want to be in a meeting with you and Speaker Ryan.
I think a lot of people would vote for Michelle Malkin. That's true. Michelle,
yes,
thanks for joining us
I would
this
drain
morning.
the swamp.
Thanks. Take care.
With her bare hands.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.